When the Super Falcons of Nigeria stormed to glory at the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, it wasn't just another football triumph. It was a moment that reaffirmed Nigeria's dominance on the continent, a reminder that the Falcons remain the queens of African women's football. Across Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and far beyond Nigeria's borders, fans danced, sang, and praised their heroines. These women had carried the weight of a nation, battled past some of the toughest rivals in Africa, and emerged victorious once again. The victory was more than just a sporting milestone. It became a symbol of hope, unity, and pride in a country often divided by politics, hardship, and economic struggle. Nigerians expected, as they always do, that their champions would be celebrated, rewarded, and honored properly. And in those jubilant moments after their triumph, the federal government of Nigeria made promises that seemed to match the magnitude of the achievement. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself welcomed the team, praised their resilience, and announced rewards that caught global headlines. $100,000 for each of the 24 players. $50,000 for each member of the technical crew. A fully furnished 3-bedroom apartment in the renewed Hope housing scheme for every player and staff member. And finally, a national honor, the Officer of the Order of the Niger, UN. It was the kind of reward package that made even fans abroad stop and clap. For once, it seemed the women who had carried the Nigerian flag so high would be given their due without delays, excuses, or stories. But fast forward to today, months after those bold announcements, and the story isn't as sweet. While the honors were conferred, and the photos with the president filled the headlines, the reality on the ground is far less glamorous. Many of the Falcons, including Captain Rasheedat Ajibade, have openly confirmed that the cash and houses are still nowhere to be seen. So, the question on everyone's lips is simple: has the federal government fulfilled its promises to the Super Falcons? The answer, as of late 2025, is no. The promises in detail. Let's rewind to July 2024. Nigeria had just clinched the WAFCON title in Morocco. The players returned home to thunderous applause. Social media was buzzing. The Falcons had delivered, and Nigerians expected the government to match their success with action. In a formal reception at the presidential villa, President Tinubu stood before the team and announced the rewards. $100,000 per player. Converted into Naira, that's tens of millions per person, a life-changing sum for athletes who often struggle with low pay compared to their male counterparts. $50,000 per coach and technical crew member. Recognition that the staff too played a part in shaping the champions. 3-bedroom apartments. Not just any housing, but in the government's renewed Hope housing scheme, supposedly a symbol of Tinubu's administration's commitment to affordable housing. National honors. UN Officer of the Order of the Niger, one of the country's most prestigious civilian awards. The promises were clear. The rewards were announced publicly. Nigerians applauded the gesture. And the players smiled with hope. What has been delivered? To be fair, not everything has been left undone. 1. National honors, UN. Each of the Falcons has indeed been conferred with the Officer of the Order of the Niger title. That ceremony happened in Abuja, and photos of the players receiving medals and shaking hands with government officials made their rounds in the media. Symbolically, it matters. For many of the players, it was their first national honor, and it placed them officially among the country's recognized icons. 2. Official assurance of housing. The government has reiterated that the promised 3-bedroom apartments will come through the renewed Hope housing scheme. The Director General of the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olapade, has said repeatedly that the process is in progress and that the Falcons will get their homes in record time. 3. Acknowledgement of bonuses. Olapade also insisted that tournament bonuses had already been paid, with only a few delays due to issues with some players' bank accounts. So, on paper, the government says it's working. On paper, the Falcons are not forgotten. What has not been delivered? Here's where the disappointment begins. 1. The $100,000 cash rewards. As of August 2025, none of the players have received this money. Rasheedat Ajibade, the team captain, came out publicly to say so. In an interview, she confirmed that the $100,000 promised by President Tinubu has not reached any player. This isn't hearsay. It's the captain herself speaking. 2. The 3-bedroom apartments. No keys, no houses, no official handovers. The Falcons are still waiting. Government officials say it's in process, but Nigerian fans have heard that line too many times before. 3. General transparency. The government has not provided a clear, published timeline for when these promises will be delivered. And in a country where past administrations have often defaulted on rewards to athletes, skepticism is growing fast. Be balanced. It's important to note what the federal government and sports authorities have said. Bukola Olapaid, NSCDG. He insists that the Falcons will get everything promised. He says the $100,000 award is real, that the government has budgeted for it, and that only procedural issues are delaying payment. On housing, Olapaid says construction is ongoing and that the players will get their apartments soon. On criticism, he argues that the Falcons should be patient, that the government has not abandoned them. But Nigerians have heard this tune before. The phrase soon is often the deathbed of promises. Why this matters? Why is this issue so important? After all, some might argue that honors have been given, and the rest will come eventually. But for the Falcons, and indeed for women's football in Nigeria, the stakes are much higher. 1. Respect for women's football. The Falcons are not just any team. They are the most successful national team in Africa, men or women, with 11 WAFCON titles. Yet they have often been treated as an afterthought. Fulfilling promises is about respect, about saying, your word matters. 2. Motivation for the future. Promises kept inspire the next generation. Promises broken demoralize them. Imagine a young girl dreaming of wearing the green and white. She sees her heroines win, but then watches them beg for their rightful rewards. What message does that send? 3. Nigeria's reputation. On the international stage, the story of unpaid bonuses and unfulfilled promises tarnishes Nigeria's image. These women compete against professionals from Europe and America, where players are well supported. If Nigeria wants to be taken seriously, it must treat its champions seriously. 4. Trust in leadership. When leaders make public promises and fail to deliver, it erodes public trust. Nigerians already live in a climate of skepticism. This only deepens the wound. The emotional disappointment. For fans, the disappointment is personal. Nigerians love football. They celebrate their heroes with passion. But when the heroes are left hanging, it feels like a betrayal of the people's joy. The Falcons didn't just win for themselves. They won for 200 million Nigerians. And in return, they ask for what they were promised, nothing more, nothing less. The sight of Ajabaid speaking up about unpaid promises triggered anger across social media. Hashtags trended. Fans demanded answers. Many asked the same question: why does this always happen to us? It's hard to ignore the pattern. Moments of national glory, followed by promises, followed by delays, excuses, and sometimes outright silence. Looking forward. Is all hope lost? Not entirely. The government has not denied the promises. They haven't cancelled them. They still affirm that the rewards will come. The apartments may yet be delivered, the cash may yet be transferred, and the Falcons may yet smile with satisfaction. But for now, the reality is disappointment. For now, the reality is delay. For now, the Falcons are left waiting, just like so many Nigerian athletes before them. And the lesson is clear. Until promises are matched with action, words remain empty. So, has the federal government fulfilled its promises to the Super Falcons? The honest answer is not yet. They promised $100,000 for each player. Not yet delivered. They promised $50,000 for each coach. Not yet delivered. They promised 3-bedroom apartments. Not yet delivered. They promised national honors. That, at least, has been delivered. But the balance sheet is still weighed down by disappointment. The Falcons deserve better. They deserve not just applause and ceremonies, but tangible rewards that reflect their sacrifice and glory. In the end, This is more than a story about football. It is a story about promises, leadership, and the value of women's sports in Nigeria. Until those promises are fulfilled, the Falcons' victory remains tinged with frustration. The ball is in the government's court. Nigerians are watching. The world is watching. And the Falcons, the pride of Africa, are still waiting.